Marcus Chain sat alone in the corner of Neon's cantina, watching the ice melt in his drink. The amber liquid had gone warm an hour ago, but he didn't care. Another day, another cargo run finished. Another payment that barely covered fuel costs. The cantina buzzed with alien voices speaking dozens of languages. Marcus had learned to tune them out over the years. Kepler Station attracted all kinds, traders, smugglers, bounty hunters, and tourists from across the galaxy. To most of them, humans were just another species trying to make a living in space. A large Torgan at the bar knocked back his third drink and laughed too loud. His green skin glistened with sweat, and his forearms waved as he told a story to his friends. Marcus had dealt with Torgans before. They were strong but not very smart. Good for heavy lifting, bad at math. 3 tables over, a family of Kaleri picked at their meal with delicate fingers. Their blue skins seemed to glow in the cantina's dim light. Kaleri were known for being peaceful traders. They never caused trouble and always paid their bills on time. Near the window, 2 Zephyrian soldiers sat in silence. Their black armor reflected no light, and their faces showed no emotion. Marcus had never spoken to a Zephyrian, but everyone knew about them. They controlled half the galaxy with their powerful empire. Their technology was beyond anything other species could build. Marcus finished his drink and checked his datapad. Tomorrow he would pick up a cargo shipment and deliver it to Proxima Colony. Basic supplies, nothing exciting. The pay was low, but it was honest work. Most humans in space took whatever jobs they could find. The cantina's holoscreen flickered to life, showing the daily news. Marcus glanced up out of habit. Wars in the outer sectors. Trade disputes between the Korthans and the Mindari. Political meetings that never solved anything. The same stories played every day with different names and places. Human, Marcus looked up. One of the Torgans from the bar stood next to his table. Up close, the alien was even bigger than he looked. His breath smelled like fermented fruit. "You're in my seat," the Torgan said. Marcus looked around the cantina. At least 20 empty tables were scattered around the room. There are plenty of other places to sit. "I want this one." 2 more Torgans appeared behind their friend. They all wore the same dirty clothes and carried the same stupid grins. Marcus had seen this before. Bored aliens looking for someone to push around. Humans made easy targets because most species thought they were weak. "Look, friends," Marcus said calmly. "I just finished my drink. I'll leave in a minute." "You'll leave now," the first Torgan said. "And you'll pay for our drinks too. Call it a sitting tax." Marcus stood slowly. The Torgans were each twice his size, but size wasn't everything. "I don't think so." The lead Torgan reached for Marcus with one of his 4 arms. Marcus stepped to the side and grabbed the alien's wrist. He twisted hard and fast. The Torgan yelped in pain and stumbled forward. The second Torgan lunged at Marcus from the left. Marcus ducked under the swing and drove his elbow into the alien's stomach. The Torgan doubled over, gasping for air. The third Torgan was smarter. He pulled out a shock rod and activated it. Electric sparks danced along its length. "Stand still, human." Marcus grabbed an empty bottle from a nearby table and threw it at the alien's head. The Torgan ducked, but the distraction was enough. Marcus rushed forward and kicked the alien's knee. The Torgan fell hard, and his shock rod skittered across the floor. The first Torgan was back on his feet, but he held his injured wrist against his chest. All 3 aliens stared at Marcus with surprise and anger. "Next time, find an empty table," Marcus said. He dropped a few credits on his table to pay for his drink and walked toward the exit. Behind him, the cantina slowly returned to normal. Aliens went back to their conversations and meals. A few gave. Marcus respectful nods, but most ignored what had happened. Bar fights were common in places like this. Marcus didn't think much about the incident either. He had learned to defend himself during his years in space. Most aliens assumed humans were weak because they were smaller than other species. But humans were faster and smarter than they looked. A little training went a long way. Outside the cantina, Marcus walked along the station's main corridor. Kepler Station was old and dirty, but it served its purpose. Hundreds of ships docked here every day to trade goods and refuel. The air recyclers. worked most of the time, and the artificial gravity stayed steady. Marcus passed shops selling everything from exotic foods to illegal weapons. Street vendors called out prices in a dozen languages. Children from various species ran between the adults, playing games that seemed universal across all cultures. He stopped at a viewing port and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the human homeworld. Marcus had never been there, but he had heard stories. Blue skies, green plants, and fresh air. It sounded nice, but space was all he had ever known. His parents had been explorers in the early days of human space travel. They died when Marcus was young, leaving him to grow up on trading stations and cargo ships. He learned to fly, to fight, and to survive in a galaxy that didn't care about any single person. Most humans who left Earth never became famous or rich. They were just ordinary people trying to make a life among the stars. Marcus was fine with that. He didn't want adventure or glory. He just wanted to keep flying and stay free, a security. Announcement echoed through the station's speakers, warning about pickpockets in the market district. Marcus smiled. Some things never changed. No matter which planet or station you visited, he headed back to his ship. Tomorrow would bring another job, another planet, and another chance to make enough money to keep going. It wasn't much of a life, but it was his life. Marcus had no idea that across the galaxy, powerful beings were watching and waiting. He didn't know that his name was already known in the highest levels of alien governments. He couldn't imagine that in just a few hours everything he thought. He knew about himself, and his place in the universe would change forever. For now, he was just another human trying to get by. And that was exactly how he wanted it. Marcus was halfway to his ship when every screen on Kepler station began flashing red. Emergency broadcasts always meant trouble, pirates, system failures, or worse. He stopped walking and looked at the nearest public screen. The usual station announcements disappeared. Instead, a symbol appeared that Marcus had never seen before. It looked like a black star surrounded by silver rings. The symbol pulsed once, twice, then faded. What came next made Marcus's blood run cold. A face appeared on the screen. The being was clearly female, but unlike any alien species Marcus knew. Her skin was pure black like polished stone. Her eyes were silver and seemed to glow with their own light. She wore no expression at all, but it was the feeling she gave off that made Marcus step back. Power, ancient. Terrible power that seemed to reach through the screen and touch his mind. Around the station, all activity stopped. Aliens who had been walking, talking, or working stood frozen. Even the children stopped playing. The only sound was the hum of the station's life support systems. The being on the screen spoke. Her voice was clear and cold, and somehow Marcus understood every word even though she wasn't speaking any language he recognized. I am Zarathul, Void Queen of the Eternal Fleet, first of the Zephyrian Empire. I speak now to all beings in all systems across the galaxy. Marcus felt his heart beating faster. Void Queen? He had heard whispers about the Zephyrian royalty, but he thought they were just stories. Beings so powerful they ruled from the shadows. Immortal creatures who had controlled the galaxy for thousands of years. The Queen continued speaking, her silver eyes seeming to look directly at Marcus through the screen. I hereby declare the human Marcus Chun to be under my personal protection and claim. Any who would harm him face the full wrath of the Empire. Let all beings hear this and understand. The screen went black. Marcus stared at the empty screen, his mind trying to process what he had just heard. His name, she had said his name. A being he had never met, from a species he had barely heard of, had just claimed him in front of the entire galaxy. Around him, the station remained silent. Then slowly, every alien within sight turned to look at him. The Kaleri family he had seen in the cantina stood at the end of the corridor. Their blue faces were pale with fear. They looked at Marcus, then at each other, then quickly walked away. A group of Korgan traders, who had been loading cargo, dropped their containers and backed away from Marcus as if he carried some deadly disease. One of them was speaking rapidly into a communication device. The two Zephyrian soldiers from the cantina appeared at the other end of the corridor. But instead of their usual emotionless faces, they looked shocked. One of them actually bowed slightly toward Marcus before they both disappeared around a corner. "What the hell?" Marcus said out loud. An older human woman approached him carefully. Marcus recognized her as Dr. Sarah Webb, the station's chief medical officer. She was one of the few humans in positions of authority on Kepler Station. "Marcus," she said quietly, "you need to come with me. Right now." "Dr. Webb, I don't understand what just happened. Why did that queen say my name?" "I've never even been to Zephyrian space. I'll explain what I can, but not here. Too many years." She looked around nervously. "We need to get you somewhere safe." As they walked toward the medical bay, Marcus noticed more changes. Aliens who had been going about their business were now huddled in small groups, whispering urgently. Shop owners were closing their stores. Security guards were speaking into their radios with worried expressions. "Dr. Webb, what's a Void Queen?" She glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "The Zephyrian Empire is ruled by beings called Void Queens. No one knows exactly how many there are, but Zarathil is the most powerful. She's been alive for over 5,000 years. 5,000 years? The Zephyrians don't age like other species. Their queens are essentially immortal. They've seen empires rise and fall. They've watched entire species appear and disappear." Dr. Webb's voice dropped even lower. "Marcus, in all of recorded galactic history, a Void Queen has only made a personal claim 3 times. The last time was over 3,000 years ago." They reached the medical bay, and Dr. Webb quickly sealed the door behind them. She activated a privacy field that would prevent anyone from listening to their conversation. "What does it mean when she claims someone?" Dr. Webb sat down heavily. "It means you're now one of the most important beings in the galaxy. A Void Queen's claim is absolute. No law, no government, no military force can override it. You're under her personal protection, which means the entire Zephyrian Empire will defend you." Marcus felt dizzy. This morning he had been a nobody cargo pilot. Now he was apparently under the protection of the most powerful being in the galaxy. But why me? "I'm just a pilot. I've never done anything important." "I don't know, Marcus. But Void Queens don't make random decisions. If she claimed you, there's a reason." Dr. Webb checked her communication device. "Marcus, I'm getting reports from across the station. Every major alien government is trying to contact their representatives here. The Korgan military is sending ships. The Mindari want to negotiate something. Even the peaceful Kaleri are panicking." A soft chime indicated an incoming message on the station's main communication system. Dr. Webb activated the screen, and a Korgan military officer appeared. "Attention Kepler Station Command. This is Admiral Falk of the 3rd Fleet. We are placing the station under protective custody, pending evaluation of the current situation. No ships may leave until further notice." The message ended, but immediately another one began. This time it was a Mindari diplomat with large, intelligent eyes. "Greetings, Kepler Station. The Mindari Collective offers full diplomatic immunity to the human Marcus Chun. We request immediate transport arrangements to discuss mutual benefits." More messages followed. The Cerebrix Consortium offered protection. The Altair Federation promised safe passage. Even small governments Marcus had never heard of were making offers or demands. "My God," Dr. Webb whispered. "The whole galaxy is mobilizing." Marcus sat down on a medical examination table, his head spinning. Through the medical bay's small viewport, he could see ships arriving at the station. Military vessels, diplomatic cruisers, and private ships were all heading toward Kepler Station. "Dr. Webb, what happens now?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I honestly don't know, Marcus. Nothing like this has ever happened before. A Void Queen claiming a human? It's going to change everything." Outside, Marcus could hear running footsteps in the corridors. Announcements were being made in multiple languages. The normal, quiet life of Kepler Station was ending, and somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of space, the most powerful being in the galaxy had spoken his name. Marcus still couldn't understand why, but he was beginning to realize that his simple life as a cargo pilot was over, The galaxy had noticed him, and there was no going back. Within 6 hours of the Queen's declaration, Kepler Station had become the most watched place in the galaxy. Marcus sat in the station commander's office, looking out at a sight he had never seen before. Hundreds of ships filled the space around the station. Military vessels from a dozen different species hung in careful formations, their weapons powered but not aimed. Diplomatic ships waited in designated areas, their crews probably arguing about who got to speak first. Station Commander Valdez, a weathered human veteran, paced behind his desk. His gray hair was messier than usual, and he had bags under his eyes. Marcus, in 30 years of running this station, I've never seen anything like this. Every major power in the galaxy has ships here. The Korgan Third Fleet, Mindari First Contact vessels, even a Cerebrix research ship. And they're all here because of you. Through the viewport, Marcus watched as another ship arrived. This one was sleek and silver, unlike anything he had seen before. It took position far from the other vessels, and Marcus noticed that the other ships seemed to give it extra space. What's that one? Commander Valdez checked his scanner. His face went pale. That's a Zephyrian diplomatic vessel. They never send those unless... He trailed off. Dr. Webb, who had stayed close to Marcus since the declaration, looked up from her datapad. Commander, I'm getting reports from across the galaxy. All major trade routes have been suspended. 3 different wars have ceased fire. The Galactic Trade Commission has called an emergency session. How is that possible? Marcus asked. One broadcast can't shut down the entire galaxy. It can when it comes from a Void Queen, Commander Valdez said grimly. Marcus, do you understand what you've become? You're not just under her protection, you're her declared interest. Every government out there is trying to figure out what that means for them. A communication came in from the Korgan fleet. Admiral Fox's massive face filled the screen. His brown skin was marked with ritual scars, and his small eyes were filled with concern. Human Marcus Chun, the Korgan Empire extends its protection. We will ensure your safety in exchange for future considerations. Before Marcus could respond, another channel opened. A Mindari appeared, her large brain visible through her transparent skull. Marcus Chun, the Mindari Collective, offers advanced technology and knowledge in return for exclusive consultation rights. More offers followed. The Altair Federation promised citizenship and a planet of his own. The Kaleri Peaceful Alliance offered a position as cultural ambassador. Even criminal organizations were making deals through encrypted channels. They're all afraid, Dr. Webb observed. And they're all trying to get something from you before anyone else does. Marcus felt overwhelmed. But I don't have anything to give them. I'm just a pilot. Commander Valdez stopped pacing. Marcus, there's something you need to understand. Void Queens don't make claims for romantic reasons. They're not emotional beings like most species. Everything they do serves a purpose. What kind of purpose? Power, strategy, long-term planning that spans centuries. The commander activated his wall display, showing a map of the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire controls this half of the galaxy through superior technology and military might. But they've never been interested in direct rule. They prefer to stay in the shadows and manipulate events. The display zoomed in on human space, a small cluster of systems near the galaxy's edge. Humans have been in space for 50 years. We're young, weak, and scattered. Until today, most species barely noticed us. So why would the Queen notice me? Dr. Webb and Commander Valdez exchanged glances. We've been asking ourselves the same question, Dr. Webb said. I've been reviewing your file, Marcus. Your parents were explorers in the early contact period. Your father served in the merchant fleet. Your mother was a communications officer. Nothing unusual. But there might be something we don't know, Commander Valdez added. Something the Zephyrians discovered that we haven't. Another communication came in, this time from a source Marcus didn't recognize. The being on the screen was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 6 arms. I am Ambassador Kelks of the Neutral Consortium. We represent 17 smaller governments who wish to discuss mutual protection agreements with the human Marcus Chun. Neutral Consortium? Marcus had never heard of them. Small governments who don't have the military power to compete with the major empires, Commander Valdez explained. They're forming alliances because they're scared. As the day continued, more ships arrived. The space around Kepler Station began to look like a military gathering, but nobody was fighting. Instead, they were all watching and waiting. Marcus tried to contact his ship's computer to review his personal files, looking for any clue about why the Queen might know his name. But the station's communication systems were overloaded with incoming messages from across the galaxy. "Commander," Dr. Webb said suddenly, "I'm getting a priority message from Human Space Command on Earth. Put it through." A woman in a military uniform appeared on the screen. Her expression was serious and she looked tired. "Commander Valdez, this is Admiral Chun of Human Defense Command. We need to speak with Marcus Chun immediately. Secure channel." Marcus felt his heart skip. Did she say Admiral Chun? "Marcus, is that you?" The woman on the screen leaned forward. "Thank God you're safe. Marcus, this is your Aunt Elena. I need you to listen very carefully." Marcus stared at the screen in shock. He barely remembered his Aunt Elena. She had disappeared when he was young, supposedly to join the military. He had no idea she had become an admiral. "Elena? I thought you were dead." "Not dead, just classified." "Marcus, we don't have much time. The Zephyrian ship is already requesting permission to board the station. I need to tell you something about your father before they arrive." Commander Valdez activated maximum security protocols. "Admiral, this channel is secure?" "Marcus, what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. Your father didn't die in a cargo accident like you were told. He died during a classified mission to Zephyrian space." Marcus felt cold. "What kind of mission?" "First contact diplomatic mission, 50 years ago." "Marcus, your father was chosen for that mission because he had a very unusual mind. He could understand and predict alien behavior patterns in ways that other humans couldn't." "I don't understand." "The Zephyrians tested him, Marcus. They put him through trials that were designed to break even their own people. He not only survived, he excelled. He showed them capabilities they had never seen before in any species." Elena's expression became even more serious. "Marcus, the Zephyrians have been watching our family ever since. They've been waiting to see if your father's abilities were passed down to his children." Outside the viewport, the Zephyrian ship was moving closer to the station. Marcus could see smaller vessels launching from its bays. "What abilities?" Marcus asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. "Strategic thinking, pattern recognition, adaptive intelligence." "Marcus, I think the Queen has decided that you have the same gifts your father had. And that makes you either the most valuable human in the galaxy or the most dangerous." The station's docking alarms began to sound. The Zephyrians were coming aboard. The Zephyrian delegation walked through Kepler Station's corridors like shadows given form. Marcus watched them approach through the security monitors, and something deep in his mind told him these beings were more dangerous than anything he had ever encountered. There were 3 of them. 2 appeared to be guards, tall figures in black armor that seemed to absorb light. The third was different. She wore flowing robes that shifted colors as she moved, and her face was partially hidden behind a silver mask. "That's not the Queen," Commander Valdez observed. "But whoever she is, she's important enough to make every other ship in the system back away." Elena's image was still on the communication screen. Her face showed worry and fear. "Marcus, I need to tell you everything before they reach you. Your father's mission 50 years ago changed everything." "What happened to him?" "The Zephyrians captured our entire first contact team. They subjected everyone to what they called evaluation protocols. Most of our people failed whatever tests they were given." "But your father—" Elena paused. "Marcus, he didn't just pass their tests. He solved problems that their best minds had worked on for decades." Marcus remembered the bar fight earlier. How he had instinctively known how the Torgans would attack. How he had moved without really thinking about it. "What kind of problems?" "Strategic scenarios. Battle simulations. Political puzzles." The Zephyrians would present him with a situation. and he would immediately see patterns and solutions that were invisible to everyone else. The door to the commander's office opened. The three Zephyrians entered without announcement. Up close, Marcus could see that their skin wasn't just black, it seemed to contain tiny stars that flickered and moved. The masked figure spoke in the same clear, universal voice that the Queen had used. "I am Zad, speaker for Queen Zarethel. We have come to collect what belongs to our Queen." Commander Valdez stepped forward. "This is a human station. You have no authority here." Zad turned her head slightly toward the commander. "We have the only authority that matters in this situation. The Queen's word." Elena's voice came from the communication screen. "Marcus, don't go with them. Not until you understand what you are." Zad noticed the screen and moved closer. When she saw Elena's uniform, she made a sound that might have been surprise. "Admiral Elena Chun, we have been monitoring your career with interest. You know her?" Marcus asked. "Of course. She is your father's sister. We have watched your entire family line since David Chun demonstrated his capabilities." Elena's face hardened. "What you did to David was wrong. You tested him until his mind broke." "We tested him until we understood what he was," Zad corrected. "Your species possesses a capability that we had never encountered. David Chen was the first to demonstrate it clearly." "What capability?" Marcus demanded. Zaid turned to study Marcus carefully. "Adaptive strategic consciousness. The ability to understand and counter any military, political, or social pattern after minimal exposure. In simple terms, you can look at any situation and immediately see how to win." Marcus shook his head. "That's impossible. I'm not a genius. I barely finished basic education." "Intelligence is not the same as strategic consciousness," one of the guards spoke for the first time. "Your father could predict the outcome of battles he had never studied. He could see through political deceptions after hearing only a few words. He could adapt to any strategy in real time." Elena leaned forward on the screen. "Marcus, think about your life. How many times have you gotten out of trouble by just knowing what to do? How often have you solved problems without really understanding how?" Marcus thought back. The bar fight. Avoiding pirates during cargo runs. Negotiating better prices with traders. Making split-second decisions that always seemed to work out. He had always thought he was just lucky. "That's not special," he said. "Everyone does that." "No," Zad said firmly. "They do not. We have tested millions of beings from hundreds of species. Only humans have ever demonstrated this capability, and only a few humans possess it strongly enough to matter." Commander Valdez was following the conversation with growing alarm. "Are you saying humans have some kind of superior strategic ability?" "Not all humans," Zad replied. "Perhaps 1 in every million possesses this trait to a significant degree. But those who do," she gestured toward Marcus, "they represent the first genuine strategic threat the Zephyrian Empire has encountered in millennia." Marcus felt cold. "Threat? Your father's abilities were so pronounced that our best strategists could not defeat him in any scenario. Battle simulations, political games, economic competitions, he won them all. Not through luck or superior knowledge, but through pattern recognition that operated faster than conscious thought." Elena's voice was bitter. "So you killed him?" "We offered him a position as strategic advisor to the Empire. He declined and chose to return to human space. His death was, an unfortunate accident during transport. You're lying." Zad was quiet for a moment. "Perhaps. The decision was made at levels above my authority. What matters now is that his son has inherited his abilities." "How do you know?" Marcus asked. "We have been monitoring you for years. Marcus Chun, every decision you have made, every problem you have solved, every challenge you have overcome, all of it has been recorded and analyzed." The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. "You've been watching me my entire life? Your pattern signature became detectable when you turned 25. Since then, our deep space monitoring systems have tracked your activities. 3 days ago, your pattern strength increased dramatically." Marcus thought back. 3 days ago had been the bar fight. But before that, he had successfully negotiated his way out of a pirate ambush using tactics he couldn't really explain. The Queen has decided that your abilities are too valuable to remain uncontrolled, Zav continued. You will return with us to serve the Empire. And if I refuse? The two guards shifted slightly, and Marcus felt the temperature in the room seem to drop. Elena's voice cut through the tension. Marcus, there's something else you need to know. You're not the only one. Zav's head turned sharply toward the screen. Your father had a brother. Your Uncle Thomas. He disappeared 20 years ago during a deep space exploration mission. Marcus, I think they took him too. That information is classified, one of the guards said. Not anymore, Elena replied. Marcus, the Zephyrians haven't just been watching you. They've been collecting humans with strategic abilities for decades. I think they're building something. An army of human strategists. Zad raised her hand and the communication screen went dark. Elena's image disappeared. The Admiral speaks beyond her knowledge, Zad said calmly. But she is partially correct. The Queen has been gathering certain humans for a specific purpose. What purpose? To serve as strategic advisors in the coming war. Commander Valdez stepped forward. What war? For the first time, Zad seemed uncertain. She looked at Marcus as if evaluating something about him. There are forces in the deep galaxy that even the Zephyrian Empire fears. Ancient enemies that have slept for millennia are beginning to wake. When they do, every species in this galaxy will need to fight for survival. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. And you think humans like me can help? We think humans like you may be the only hope any of us have. Queen Zarathal's flagship was like nothing Marcus had ever seen. The corridors seemed to stretch forever, lit by a soft light that came from nowhere. The walls showed scenes of distant stars and nebulae, as if the ship itself was flying through space. Marcus walked between the two Zephyrian guards, his mind racing. Everything he thought he knew about himself had changed in the span of a few hours. Behind them, Zad followed silently. How many humans have you taken? Marcus asked. 43 over the past 50 years, Zad replied. All with varying degrees of strategic consciousness. Your father was the strongest we had encountered until now. What happened to them? They served the Empire in various capacities. Some as military advisors, others as diplomatic consultants. A few work on long-term strategic planning. Marcus thought about his Uncle Thomas. Are they happy? For the first time, Zav seemed to hesitate. Happiness is not a concept we fully understand. They are well cared for and their abilities are put to good use? The corridor opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above, and the floor was made of what looked like black glass. In the center of the room stood a figure that made Marcus stop walking. Queen Zarathel was exactly as she had appeared on the broadcast, but seeing her in person was overwhelming. She radiated power that seemed to press against Marcus's mind. Her silver eyes fixed on him the moment he entered the chamber. Marcus Chun, she said in that clear, universal voice. You are finally here. Marcus found his voice. Your Majesty, do you understand why you are important to us? Marcus looked around the chamber. Along the walls, he could see other figures standing in alcoves. Some were Zephyrian, but others were clearly from different species. And several looked human. Those are the other humans you've collected? Some of them. They have served well, but none possessed your level of ability. One of the human figures stepped forward. Marcus saw a man about 50 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. Something about his face seemed familiar. Hello, Marcus. I'm your Uncle Thomas. Marcus stared in shock. Uncle Thomas? They said you died in space. I did disappear in space, but not the way everyone thought. Thomas looked older than he should, and there was sadness in his eyes. I've been serving the Queen for 20 years. Are you ... Marcus struggled to find words. Are you okay? Thomas glanced at the Queen before answering. I'm alive. I've seen wonders beyond imagination and helped plan strategies that have saved millions of lives. But Marcus, I've also been a prisoner in a golden cage. Queen Zarathul moved closer. Your uncle speaks from limited perspective. He has been an honored advisor, not a prisoner. Then why can't he leave? Because his knowledge of our capabilities and strategies would destabilize galactic politics if shared. Marcus began to understand the situation more clearly. You want to do the same thing to me. I want to offer you something better, the Queen said. A position as my primary strategic advisor? You would help guide the Empire through the challenges that are coming. Zod mentioned a war. The Queen's expression remained unchanged, but Marcus sensed a shift in her mood. There are beings in the space between galaxies that ruled this region billions of years ago. They were defeated and banished by the combined efforts of dozens of species. But they are returning. She gestured, and the chamber's walls showed an image of space. But this wasn't normal space. It was filled with dark shapes that seemed to move with terrible purpose. Our monitoring stations at the galaxy's edge have detected scout ships. Ancient vessels using technology we barely understand. Within a century, possibly less, they will arrive in force. Marcus studied the images. Even without understanding the technology, he could see patterns in the movement of the dark ships. They're not just exploring. They're mapping defense networks. Correct. You see this immediately, while our best analysts required months of study to reach the same conclusion. What do these beings want? To reclaim what they consider their property. This entire galaxy was once their empire. They will kill or enslave every species they find. Thomas stepped closer to Marcus. The Queen isn't lying about the threat. I've seen the evidence. But Marcus, you have a choice I never had? What do you mean? When they took me, humanity was still weak and scattered. But now... Thomas smiled for the first time since Marcus had seen him. Now the entire galaxy knows about us. About what we can do. Marcus looked around the chamber again. The other humans in the alcoves were watching him with expressions of hope and fear. The Zephyrian advisors seemed curious about what he would do. Your Majesty, what exactly are you offering me? Serve as my primary strategic advisor. Help prepare the galaxy for the coming war. In return, you will have access to knowledge and technology beyond your imagination. You will help save every living being in this galaxy. And if I refuse? The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Then you will be returned to your life, and we will find other ways to prepare for what is coming. Marcus was surprised. You wouldn't force me? Forced service produces limited results. We need willing cooperation for the challenges ahead. Marcus thought about everything he had learned. The coming threat, the other humans who had been taken, the galactic panic his claiming had caused. An idea began to form in his mind. I have a different proposal. Everyone in the chamber became very still. You said you need human strategic thinking to face this threat. But you've been taking humans in secret, one at a time. What if instead we work together openly? Explain. Marcus took a deep breath. Make humanity a partner in preparing for this war, not just a source of advisors. Help us develop our abilities across our entire population. In return, we'll provide strategic support not just to the Zephyrian Empire, but to all the species that will need to fight together. Queen Zarathul studied Marcus for several moments. You propose to make humanity a major galactic power. I propose to give the galaxy the best chance of survival. The Queen turned to Thomas. What is your assessment of this proposal? Thomas looked at Marcus with pride. It's exactly the kind of thinking we need. Bold, unexpected, and strategically sound. If the threat is as serious as you say, then every species needs to be at full strength. There would be risks, one of the Zephyrian advisors said. Humans with enhanced strategic capabilities could become a threat to the existing order. The existing order is going to change anyway, Marcus replied. The question is whether it changes because we planned for it or because an external enemy destroyed it. Queen Zarathul moved to the center of the chamber. The walls changed to show a map of the galaxy with all its major political boundaries. Your proposal would require the cooperation of every major government. The Korgans, the Mindari, the Cerebrix, all of them would need to accept humanity as an equal partner. They're already panicking because you claimed me. Use that. Show them that working with humanity is better than trying to control or eliminate us. The Queen considered this for several more moments. Finally, she spoke. Marcus Chun, I accept your proposal. Humanity will become our partner in preparing for the coming war. But you will still serve as my primary strategic advisor. With one condition, Marcus said. I want to return to Kepler Station first. Those ships that are gathered there represent every major power in the galaxy. Let's use this opportunity to announce the new alliance. The Queen almost smiled. Clever. Turn the crisis into an opportunity for unity. That's what humans do best, Your Majesty. We adapt. 3 hours later, Marcus stood in Kepler Station's main docking bay, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. Queen Zarathil stood beside him, her presence keeping everyone focused and attentive. Today marks the beginning of a new era, Marcus announced. Humanity joins the galactic community not as a minor species seeking scraps, but as a partner in facing the greatest challenge any of us have ever encountered. The Queen spoke next, her words carrying the weight of absolute authority. The Zephyrian Empire recognizes humanity as a strategic ally. We will share technology and knowledge to help them develop their unique capabilities. In return, they will help coordinate our defense against the ancient threat that approaches. Admiral Thok of the Korgans was the first to respond. The Korgan Empire agrees to this alliance. One by one, the other representatives agreed. Within an hour, the foundation of a galactic alliance had been laid. Later, as the various fleets began to disperse, Marcus looked out at the stars one more time as a simple cargo pilot. Tomorrow, he would begin a new life as humanity's first strategic advisor to the galaxy. Thomas joined him at the viewport.